She doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. She's looking for something better and has trust issues.
Well, part of the problem, you can already tell the mentality is, as a man, he's focused on her attention and validation. How do I get this girl to like me?
Mhm.
And when you love and value yourself, if you grow up where you get enough hugs and I love yous and I'm proud of yous and that kind of stuff from mom and dad, if a girl's like, hey, I'm not feeling it, I'm not interested, you're like, hey, no problem. Well, call me if you change your mind. And then they just move on with their lives.
Mhm.
Whereas a guy had seen too many Disney movies and maybe he didn't get enough hugs and I love yous as a kid, he grew up and became emotionally conditioned and anchored to wanting love but not getting love. And so when he meets a girl that's not interested or who was initially interested and then he talked and texted and chased her out of his life, a lot like I used to do in my early 20s when I didn't know any better,
Mhm.
then what happens is it feels normal to them. They want the love from a particular woman and they can't get it. It's an unhealthy attachment. If you ever studied the Tao or Buddhism, it's, you put your intention out there, you take your effort, and if the other person's like, no thanks, or they politely decline, you say, well, call me if you change your mind. And then you walk and you never look back. A man who loves and values and respects himself is not going to try to change your mind.
Right.
He's just going to move on with his life, start dating other women, obviously read the book because it's free to read in the members area of the website, understandingrelationships.com, and get better. Because if she comes back in a couple of months, you want her to find a confident, cockier, more masculine, more charming version of you that's the most attractive version of yourself. So if she does reach back out, you're a different guy.
Mhm.
But when you stay hung up on one girl, you're not dating anybody else, you're not learning anything new, you're not practicing. And so if she does come back, you haven't changed and you'll turn her off for exactly the same reasons. And so you never try to keep somebody that doesn't want to keep you. They got to make the effort. And if they don't, or they won't, or they can't, it's like, well, you got to be strong enough to move on and not. Because then another thing people would do when they have an unhealthy attachment like that, it's a way to avoid a relationship, is to stay hung up on somebody that's unavailable or uninterested.
Mhm.
And then the life, the months and the years of their life just zip by. Meanwhile, the girl's dating and having boyfriends and crying on his show. Oh, he was so mean to me. Chad Thundercock fucked me and left me, and he won't answer my calls. And he stays on the phone with her and listens to her cry for a couple hours. And he takes her to lunch and he gets a little peck on the cheek. Oh, you're such a great friend. And he thinks, hopefully someday
Mhm.
he'll get his shot. But if you were a high value man and you loved and valued yourself, you just simply move on. You go find somebody else.
And what if he messed it up? Like he did something to make her want to go away.
Well, 75% of the time, women do the breaking up, and it's usually what's happened. Either, this is assuming it's a normal, healthy woman, not some whack job or Fruit Loop.
Mhm.
But, when those kinds of things happen, if you've turned her off by over pursuing, talking too much, acting weak, drooling all over her, treating her like a celebrity, being one of her fanboys on social media, you're not going to change your mind by staying engaged. A man who has choices and options is just going to go give his attention to somebody who values and appreciates it. So that's actually the attractive thing to do, is to walk away.
Right.
And you'll never ever own a woman's heart, any woman for that matter, unless she knows that if she pushes you too far, you'll walk and never look back. You won't put up with her shit. You put
Mhm.
her in her place. If she violates your boundaries, you're like, hasta la vista, baby.
Mhm.
So if the girl doesn't want you or is not interested in you or is trying to keep you stuck in friend zone and doing things for her and taking her to lunch and stuff and spending money on her, you just disengage. You withdraw your attention. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours.
Right.
If she doesn't want to go out on dates and hang out in person, then go spend time with somebody who does.
And what about like in the female's perspective? Like what if the guy is acting that way towards her? Does she act the same way?
What do you mean?
Like like she
She's trying to date him, but he's not interested.
Mhm.
Same thing. If you love and value yourself, you can be like, I'm hot, I'm beautiful, I have choices, I have options. If this guy doesn't see my value, well, some other guy will. If the girl had a good father that taught her that and was always there for her and raised her right, she'll go and she'll talk to him and say, "Daddy, this is what's going on," and he'll be like, "That guy's not into you, baby. I love you. You got to find somebody else." Maybe he comes back in the future. The self-loving thing to do is to go find somebody who wants to be with you. There's mutual respect, attraction, admiration.
Right.
Because if that's missing, if you don't admire her and respect her, and she doesn't admire and respect you,
Why
then
are
the
you even
power is going
together?
to be out of whack.
Yeah. There's no point to be together at
Yeah.
that point. I think you're just comfortable at that point.
So I know you always say a king never leaves his castle.
Yep.
So what if your husband, you have children, what if your husband is a habitual cheater and doesn't, and you want to, you don't want to leave their house, but he can't stop, cheating and doing you wrong? Can the man still leave at that point?
Can the man leave?
I think he doesn't deserve to be in the household when he can't.
Well, it's his house if he's paying for it. I mean, when you know what's kind of funny is when you look at all the richest women in the world, 100% of them, you know how they made their money?
From their husband?
Yes, from the divorce. Not because they started a business. All the women that are billionaires, they inherited it or they got it from their ex-husband. And so at the end of the day, if you're a woman in that situation and the guy's just cheating on you, your two choices are to put up with it. And obviously, Latin culture, it's kind of, especially South America, it's kind of commonplace that your guy's probably going to cheat and fuck other women. And in the culture, they're like, well, as long as he stays with me. I mean, there's that guy that does all the interviews. We've done a few reaction reels to it.
Yeah.
What is it? The Desirable Truth or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
He's really good. He does a really good job. But he's interviewed a few really beautiful Latino women. He's like, well, what if we were dating and we were married and I was cheating on you, would you stay? Or how would you feel about that? And a lot of them are just like, hey, as long as he stays with me and continues to support the kids and I don't know about it. It's a lot of very wealthy people. I got an acquaintance, I would say, who's a very powerful man in the Democratic Party. And if I told you guys who he was, you would know. But he's a family man. His kids work in the business that he started. He's extremely wealthy. His firm is the most successful in the world. And he and his wife have an arrangement. She's like, I don't want to know about it. You go do you. You go do what you're going to do, but I don't want to hear about it. Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass our family. Because, 20 years ago, a lot of times he's getting drunk, falling out of his limo and in front of one of the clubs that he owns and rolling out with a bunch of girls and people are taking pictures of it. And it's ending up in the news and the media and it's embarrassing to her. And
yeah.
So as he got older, he doesn't drink as much or he doesn't overdo it like that and do things where he embarrasses himself publicly and his wife and his family. But
right.
They stay together, and his wife's actually pretty beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
She's fit and in shape, and he's kind of fat. He's like a fat slob, but
yeah.
He's rich and he's powerful, and the most powerful men in the country and women for that matter. When it's election season, they come and they kiss his ring. They go to his house for dinner. He doesn't go to them; they come to him.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on that kind of relationship?
A lot of wealthy men have that. It's surprising. There's a lot of them are like, people said that Donald Trump was like that with Melania. I mean, he was on a date with another woman when he was at this beauty pageant. And you can watch the video. It was on Fox News from like 2015 when he was running for president the first time. Greta Van Susteren interviewed Melania at Trump Tower. And she told the whole story that he was on a date with another woman. She met him there. She liked him. She walked up to him and approached him. She didn't fucking care that he was on a date. She knew his reputation was all over the tabloids. She knew he was a bad boy. Mm-hmm. He was on a date with another woman, and she still went up to him and hit on him and asked for his number. Mm-hmm. And what she was saying is that, when she asked for his number, she was curious as to what number he was going to give her. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, is he going to give me his cell phone or his home phone or whatever? And because she's like, if he just gives me his office number, it's like, I'm not looking to do business with him. I mean, right. She was interested in him personally. Mm-hmm. And so when she asked him for his number, he gave her his cell phone, he gave her his office number, and he gave him the direct line at his home residence.
Oh, what?
Because he liked her, and he was making it easy for her to get in touch. And then 2 weeks later, 14 days later, she said she reached out, and they started dating. And so, because there were times it was like with Stormy Daniels or whatever. Supposedly nothing happened between the two of them, and she was just trying to get publicity out of it. But there were other girls, like the was it Access Hollywood, the tape where grab 'em by the pussy. Remember that famous comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're a rich, powerful guy like that, and a girl's eye fucking you, yeah, you could walk right up to her and grab her by the pussy, and she's glad you did it. And that's just him, because that's his world, that's his reality, that's how he lives.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Donald was very famous for always having lots of beautiful ladies, and he wasn't faithful to any of his first two wives, which was a matter of public record. He's on a date with another woman, and Melania she still went after him. And despite all the things that happened, the one time he said he apologized was when all that shit came out about grabbing by the pussy or whatever. Because it was like a hot mic moment, and him and one of the other guys, the hosts, were just talking. I think they were on a bus.
Just being guys.
Guys being guys, and it was recorded, and some leftists that worked at the was it CBS or whatever got into the footage and then released it to the media to embarrass him because they were trying to prevent him from getting elected. And of course, all the people on the right were like, "Oh, he's got to drop out of the race. He's got to, we can't have somebody like that running for president." And he's like, "Fuck you. I apologize to my wife, but it's really none of your business." And he stayed in it. So maybe they have an arrangement like that. I don't know. But I from my perspective, and I don't know him. I've never talked to him, never met him, never met his wife. I know a lot of people around him. But, I mean, it seems pretty obvious that she knew what she was getting into, and she didn't really care.
I mean,
and she's still with him. They got, Barron's turned out great. She's a great first lady, the most beautiful, the most elegant first lady we've ever had. Had total class. If you ever saw the White House during Christmas, and the way I'd never seen the White House look so beautiful. But you look at like Jill Biden, the way she decorated it looked like fucking trailer trash. It was fucking gross what they did and the way they decorated it. It's just, she's a very classy, highly intelligent woman, and you can judge him and, oh, she shouldn't put up with that, but hey, she knew what she was getting into. I mean, she literally ripped Donald off from another woman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a fucking date with her, and she still didn't care. She walked right up to him, got his number. Maybe the girl had walked away. I don't know, but
yeah, I wonder what that girl.
Maybe she was off getting a drink, and then she went and approached him. But they've been together ever since.
She manifested it.
So it's like some women are okay with it. Not all of them are going to be, but some women are. And it's like, hey, I'm not here to judge. But definitely in the Latin culture, it's kind of understood that, the men are going to cheat. They're going to run around. It's just, don't embarrass them or the family or the kids. It's just, I don't want to know about it. It's usually the attitude that those women kind of have. And there's other women that like women too. And they'll bring women home for their husband or their boyfriend to kind of spice things up in the bedroom. But she's the one that picks them. She brings the women into the bedroom. And she's the gatekeeper. And if you're going to have that kind of a relationship, that's the way it should work. Because if you're trying to dump women that you pick out on her and she doesn't like the girls, it's like, imagine trying to have a threesome with your wife doesn't like the chick. It's like, why do that?